A magnitude 9.1 earthquake struck Japan, the most powerful ever recorded in the country's history. But before we witness that catastrophe, we've got 3 other insane disasters caught on camera. Starting at number 4. A truck turns onto a railway crossing in Versailles, Ohio. The driver parks by the side of the road, engine idling. Then, there's a loud horn blare. A train is coming. The driver gets down from the cab and runs. A split second later, the train smashes into the front of the truck. The collision is instantaneous and brutal. The white big rig transforms into a pile of debris, metal crumpling like paper under the train's unstoppable momentum. The driver and passenger were able to escape the vehicle before the collision, running to safety and avoiding injury. They were just feet away from death. The debris from the vehicle was spread over several feet into the parking lot area of a nearby bank. The train continued westbound down the tracks before coming to a stop just east of the crossing at Conover Road. An oblivious trucker, one wrong decision, and seconds separating life from death. But trains hitting stationary objects, that's one thing. What happens when a speeding car hits a bus full of children? It's just an ordinary school day, and this school bus is doing its usual school runs. The kids are being kids, laughing, talking. The bus is parked on the side of the road, completely stationary, waiting. Then, a racing car crashes into it. The impact is so violent that the bus rolls over onto its side. Mario Perez, 52, was racing at high speed with another driver when he struck the Albuquerque public school bus full of middle school children. The force of the collision caused the school bus to flip completely. Watch as the massive vehicle tips, then crashes onto its side. 5 people were sent to the hospital. 2 students, ages 13 and 14, suffered horrific injuries, a broken pelvis and a broken femur that required surgery. In December 2024, Perez pleaded guilty to 5 felony counts of reckless driving, resulting in great bodily harm. Children's lives changed forever because someone wanted to go fast. 1 vehicle caused that disaster, but what happens when 70 vehicles collide in a blinding snowstorm? And if you think a 70-vehicle pileup is catastrophic, wait until you see our ultimate entry, where a 9.1 magnitude earthquake shook an entire nation for 6 terrifying minutes. February 5th, 2018, Interstate 35 near Ames, Iowa. A blinding snowstorm reduces visibility to near zero. The video is blurry. The snow is so thick you can barely see what's ahead. But these cars are on the road regardless, just moving. The chaos is not far away, is it? The disaster started around 11 a.m. when a car spun out of control. That initial crash triggered something far worse. Then the cars start crashing, one after another. Vehicles slide helplessly into the massive pileup, metal grinding into metal, cars spinning out of control. Watch as dozens of vehicles, passenger cars, semi-trucks, and several buses slide on the ice, unable to stop, crashing into the growing pile of wreckage. Drivers see it coming but can't stop. The ice turns their vehicles into projectiles. Steering wheels and brakes are useless as physics takes over. The blinding snowstorm created conditions where visibility was measured in feet, not yards. Even experienced drivers couldn't see what was ahead until it was too late. The crash involved as many as 70 vehicles, passenger cars, semi-trucks, and buses in a deadly chain reaction collision that covered several miles of interstate. 1 person died. 5 were critically injured. Dozens more suffered various injuries in the massive pileup. The wreckage stretched for miles. Emergency responders struggled to reach victims through the snow and tangled metal. Some people were trapped in their vehicles for hours. 70 vehicles, 1 snowstorm, 1 death, and dozens of injuries. A highway transformed into a graveyard of twisted metal. Snowstorms and car crashes are localized disasters. What comes next affected an entire nation. A little girl hides under a table as the house begins to shake. The table offers her safety, or at least the illusion of it. Her father tells her it's okay, but it isn't. This is no ordinary earthquake. It is the most powerful earthquake ever recorded in Japan and the 4th most powerful earthquake recorded in the world since 1900. On March 11, 2011, a magnitude 9.0 to 9.1 undersea megathrust earthquake occurred in the Pacific Ocean. It lasted approximately 6 minutes. In those 6 minutes, homes became unstable, furniture became dangerous, and everyday spaces transformed into hazard zones. Walls shook, Floors rolled, and people instinctively searched for safety. It was 6 minutes of violent shaking. 6 minutes that felt like an eternity. Watch this man protecting an elderly person as everything in the house shakes and falls. He shields them with his body, standing firm as objects crash to the floor around them. In this home, a family runs out of the house to safety, but the tremor prevents them from running properly and throws them off balance. The mother stumbles and falls as they struggle to stay upright. In another house, heavy objects collapse. Bookshelves topple, cabinets swing open, contents spilling everywhere. Around 4 minutes into the quake, panic sets in more visibly. A woman tries desperately to hold her cabinets closed, but all the objects inside keep falling, collapsing despite her efforts. You can see the panic in her movements as she realizes she can't stop it. She abandons the cabinets and slides toward the walls, holding on for stability, choosing survival over saving possessions. Notice one thing though. Remarkably, despite 6 minutes of intense shaking, most of the buildings don't collapse. Objects fall, interiors are destroyed, but the structures hold. This is due to Japan's strict building codes and earthquake-resistant construction. Now let's see what happens in offices during the earthquake. Computers topple from desks, monitors crashing to the floor, filing cabinets tip over, scattering papers everywhere. Workers dive under desks, following earthquake protocols drilled into them since childhood. Others quickly exit the building as the organized workspace transforms into chaos in seconds. And it doesn't stop. 6 minutes of this, not 6 seconds, 6 minutes of wondering if your building will be the one that fails. Supermarkets and stores were not left out. They also bore the brunt of this earthquake. Products scatter from shelves like an explosion. Bottles shatter, cans roll, objects topple. Store attendants hesitate, torn between grabbing falling items and running to safety. Eventually, they abandon the products and seek cover. Outside, the destruction continues. Floors shake so violently that parked cars shift on the spot. Roofs fall from buildings. Tall poles and power lines sway wildly, whipping back and forth. Trees bend at impossible angles. People in the streets panic, running but not knowing where to go. The danger is everywhere. At a temple, people take cover under traditional architecture. Monks or priests guide people to safer areas, their training taking over despite their own fear. Strangers help strangers. Family helps family. Watch how people react in these videos. Diving under desks, bracing in doorways, protecting their heads. This isn't panic, it's training. Every Japanese citizen participates in earthquake drills from childhood. They practice these exact movements. Drop, cover, hold on. What you're seeing is muscle memory taking over. That little girl under the table, she knew to get there. Not just that, many of them had warnings. Japan's earthquake early warning system gave some people up to 90 seconds before the strongest shaking reached them. 90 seconds to dive under that desk, to grab that child, to make final decisions. It could have been far worse. The Shinkansen bullet trains, traveling at 200 miles per hour with hundreds of passengers, received automatic alerts and stopped before the worst shaking hit. Not a single train derailed. That's hundreds of lives saved by technology. But even with all this preparation, the earthquake's power was overwhelming. The damage spread across multiple places, affecting a region larger than some countries. The earthquake didn't just shake things apart, it created conditions for fire. Gas lines ruptured, electrical systems sparked, chemical plants became infernos. In certain cities, thousands of homes were completely or partially destroyed by the tremor and the hundreds of aftershocks that followed. Look at this footage of collapsed homes. Roofs caved in, walls buckled. These are the buildings that couldn't withstand 6 minutes of violent shaking. But this earthquake triggered something even more devastating. The undersea megathrust displaced massive amounts of ocean water, generating a tsunami. But that's a story for the next part of this series. Next time, a mini tornado known as a dust devil makes an appearance in Cambodia. Then, a microburst destroys a wall at a North Carolina school gymnasium. And we'll continue our series on the Japan earthquake. So, maybe today's a good day to appreciate solid ground. But don't just scroll, there's plenty more chaos to watch.